guys, today's episode I'm going to show you how to make my pork short ribs tomato stew. I got a message from someone requesting how to cook my pork short rib tomato stew. So as usual, we will need ingredients for that recipe, okay? So this is a fresh pick from our garden. I ran out of Roma's tomatoes, so I'm using the cherry tomatoes. Well, some of this is 50-50. I have half Roma that it's still a little bit green, and then I have the cherry tomato. You can use any type of tomato for this. You will also need onion, garlic, and a slice of ginger. So if you notice this is a little bit soft, this is actually frozen ginger that I have sliced, about 3 slices of frozen ginger. So on the pot, we have an oil, vegetable oil. We're going to add everything in here. Onion, garlic, and ginger. Add the riblets, pork riblets. So I added the pork riblets in here. I'm going to cover this up and let it simmer for about 2 to 3 minutes until the meat are kind of cooked, but not quite there yet. So I'll show you guys in a few. So this is what they look like. This time I'm going to add our liquid seasoning. So I don't measure, it's about a tablespoon of liquid seasoning and a tablespoon of fish sauce. I'm going to add the bay leaf and our cayenne powder and our paprika to it. Mix it well and then cover it up, let it simmer for a minute or 2. So this is what they look like after a minute. Have to mix them well. This time we are going to add our tomatoes. So the meat are not quite tender yet, guys. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit of water to this. But first I'm gonna add my tomatoes. This tomato are fresh picked from our garden. And then I'm gonna add our carrots, potatoes. So I added a cup of water in here. I am not going to stir the pot. I'm just gonna cover it directly and let the steam cook the potatoes and the rest of the vegetables. I want the meat will be tenderized underneath of this. So I'm gonna cover it and simmer. So this is our final touch. So I added our bell pepper. I also added a little bit of salt in here since I ran out of pork bouillon. I had mentioned it earlier. I ran out of pork bouillon. But if you do add a pork bouillon here, you do not need to add salt. So because I ran out, I added a salt in here to taste. It depends on you guys. That would be up to you how much salt you want in this pot. So for me, I'm closer to salty side. So that's what I did. I also added 1/4 teaspoon of sugar to balance out the saltiness and the tanginess of the tomato. Okay, so this is our finished product. I'm going to show you. And it's up to you guys if you want your riblets to be more on a tender side. But if you can see, the meat is actually tender. Yummy. So our stew is done. And this is our finished product. if you want to be less soupy or saucy in here, you can let it simmer for another 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, but make sure you check on it constantly, making sure it's not burnt in the bottom. That's the only thing about this, is that once the potatoes start to loosen up or get really softened, they become starchy. So that's one thing I can recommend for you guys, is to keep checking on it. But for now, I'm satisfied with this recipe, so that's up to you guys. If you want more tenderized meat, you will have to let it simmer a little bit longer before adding your tomatoes and your carrots. I mean your potatoes and your carrots. Okay, let your meat simmer for longer time before adding your potatoes. But this is what I did with mine.